Hello, friends. Here I am. Here I am. How are y'all doing? Oh, 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 oh. How are you? Got the charts up behind me here. Got the wait that direction. Got the charts just here. We'll be looking at all of that and more in this AMC, GME, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, suggested stocks. You know, you got your Clovers, your Nakeds, all that stuff. And we will chat about that in today's show. See you in a bit. And good to see you out there. I did just start a stream because in Streamlabs you choose the scheduled stream or you just hit to start a new one. And what you know, then I hit to start a new one. Well, whoopsie doopsie. So I'm back in the actual correct stream now. But that's good because all I was doing was saying hello to everybody in there. Good to see you. In fact, actually, all I was doing was saying hello to everybody in this stream. In the other one, well, I'm in Egypt sometimes. Anyway, good to see you out there, Tim Poker US. Good to see you, LC, Bane, Mika Monty, Brian, Linda Reel, Bad Mama Jamma. And also as well, thanks so much to Daniel who donated a $5 in the other stream. Gosh, silly me. How are you all? Are you all doing great? End of the week here, you know, and we've got a few. We've got. Well, I should actually suppose maybe pop myself up a bit higher and change the arrangement here slightly so that you guys can see the price of at least one of these stocks below me. So there's the GME price, for instance, up there at the minute, $217. That's okay, you know. I'm happy enough to have it. It's the sea shanty number. That's all right, you know. It's all right. It's not been the spectacular Rosso movements up the way that we've been wanting so far. But we'll take a look since it's the end of the week coming up right here, right now in 45 minutes. We'll be taking a look at the. Thank you so much, D. Bing bong. Come on, Scotland, says D. Thanks, D. Thanks for showing your support. So we have 217 here in the GMEs, and the prices dropped down to that 57. Is that 57.90 here on AMC, giving us that $58 or so entry. Got down as low as 56. Did we talk about 56 or 57 or 58 or something recently? Was it we were just talking about that there or that there? Not 100% sure what we were talking about yesterday in terms of where it could dip down to. Well, it's done that, and that's okay. We're seeing it having come down to fill in this gap essentially overall on the 5-minute time frame. You can see that gap on the left. Well, that's what we've done so far. So okay, there we have it. And here we have exactly the GME prices kind of doing more or less what we hoped we would see at kind of at minimum in a sense. On the weekly time frame here, we've had a little bit of a pullback. You know, the last couple of weeks I've had real highs in terms of emotional stuff, right up there at 240 or 350, basically 340, and also real emotional lows down there at 205 in terms of what we've gone through so far. That's the typical kind of shakeout phase that you would expect around here if there was some sort of bull flag / cup with handle, etc., etc. And we've and you know, that's okay. That's where we are with that one at the minute. On the, you know, broad picture, still looking pretty good here. End of the week, you know, how have we done with regards to AMC? Just kind of showing you that it's had, of course, a better week this week than the old GMEs has, as you can see here. But what we've got here is a funny component. You know, there's this weekly golden cross on GME that happened back there in January, and there was a big pull down in the prices. Will we see something happen if we see a golden cross here in the weekly time frame? You know, the wait a minute, hold on a second. Those moving averages, are they right? Yeah, 50 and 200. If we see that crossing over, could we experience a bit of a pullback down, a retrace to test those things? That'd be something kind of scary in a sense, maybe worth knowing about. But overall, we're doing really great. You can see this really strong week so far, putting in new weekly highs and continuing on. Now, of course, we don't have ever increasing volume all the time necessarily, but the overall this month has been an increase in volume, certainly compared to the last one, and you know, and that looks healthier in a sense compared to the GME volume. But that's because, of course, the volume that we're looking to see come in on the GME charts happens when we get above those areas, and that's why everybody's kind of got their eyes on the prize up there towards that 280, 290 price points on those ones, and that's where we are right now. So we will be closing out the week together forever in the week, and that's going to be lovely. Nice to see you out there, Dead Money All Stars. Cheers, Rocky. Just been lurking and taking notes today's a yo. Wait a minute. That was yesterday's stream. Ah, you're really on a roll right now, reading the wrong chats at the wrong time, aren't you, Rocky? Where is it? I'll close that window out. Over here. There it is. Yeah, Joshua Bush. Hedges are fuck. There we go. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Hi, everyone. Warlock for hire. Trying to keep this cost average at 169. Come on and tip for tatty. 169, just 169. How many 69s is everybody else looking for? Lucy in the sky with that. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, CC, says Ricky Z 1992. Ola says Purple Haze. Ola, bro. Ola, bro. Lee Willis, I got a Parma Violet Ice Lolly. Woo, a Parma Violet Ice Lolly. Well. It's been quite a while since I've had any Parma Violet flavored anything, but I've had Parma Violet ice cream in the past, and I thought it was fun. I normally go for something a bit mental in the old ice cream shop, though. You know, like Parma Violet, but you can't be mental every time. Can't let something become your favorite like that. Tony Wright, hey guys, just with family, have a meal. England, Scotland. Ooh, come on, England. Let me just hold on a second here. Hold on a second, everybody. I was thinking I would get a stream up of this match in the background. I was thinking something along those lines, and I'd be able to watch it as it happens. But I'll just get the old England. Bam, bam, the score. Okay, so we're 0-0 at the minute. Right, excellent. Good to know that Tony Wright and Dee Harker and everybody else out there supporting Scotland alongside me today. Thanks so much. Right, yeah. How's John chat? How is the chat? How are you all getting on? So what we're planning to do this evening, by the way, ladies and gentlefolk, is that we will be we're going to attempt to do another Drinky Poo stream. Rocky, why are you doing so many of the Drinky Poo streams? Because everybody loves them. Bit of fun. We're going to be doing it with a special guest. Woo! Ooh. And that's going to be fun. I think you all already know who it is, though, because we were talking about it earlier on in Jamie's stream. So that'll be a good laugh. Michael Jordan, not looking good. Well, I suppose that balances out Lucy in the sky with diamonds comment. I know you're not talking about me, but I'm taking it personally anyway. Tits Jacked, says Eddie B. Eddie B with your name Eddie B in brackets behind. Good to know that you're the Eddie B, the Eddie B. Nice. Auto match over 2.5 goals. All right. Thanks, auto match with over 2.5 goals. Wait, you're talking about bet? Ooh, over 2.5 goals. Michael Jordan says over 2.5 goals. You're talking about betting. You think it's going to be? You actually think there'll be over 2.5 goals? Well, wonder. Hi, Rocky. Hope you're having a good day. Says Epiphany Jones. Thanks so much. I am. CC, Cosmic Lightning Warrior on the booze is going to be a hoot. That's it. That's what we're hoping for. So Jamie and I, what the rough tentative plan of it is that Cosmic does his stream, I don't know, UK time roughly around about 5, 6, 7, something like that. So wait, no, not UK time. US time he does it around about. So about UK time about 10 or 11 or so. So Jamie and I will get the party started and then invite him over to... Wait a minute, that's the wrong link. We'll invite him over to watch the... God, I can't speak. To talk with us, to chat, to join in, to get pissed. So, yeah, so that's what we're doing. So that's going to be great, isn't it? Woohoo! I can't wait. I'll be streaming from my gig tonight, Rocky, so feel free to drop in for some background tunes. Yes! 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 Brilliant. Excellent. Nice one. Yes. Expect me to act similarly if I see this number on the right go up to a 1. Wow. Yeah, putting the wrong link into the Discord there, just trying to tell folk that I'm live, just in case they don't know already, which I'm sure they do after my stream shenanigans. Oh, $58.45 on the AMCs, is it? That's good. So the weekly time frame's not going to reveal much about the price action right now, but in terms of the here and now, it's nice, something horrific or amazing happens in the next half an hour. But we do know that we've seen we've got these various ideas that we've been talking about with regards to the cup with handle, which of course is really just the shorthand for the caterpillar pattern that we're looking for on this one to hopefully play out, and that's still there on the weekly time frame, of course. Of course. What was that? Emmy Campisi. Yay! Thank you for everything, Rocky. You know what? You're welcome. You know what? You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You know, today, this week's been a stressful week, hasn't it? It's been a stressful week. You know, let's just go down to the 24-hour time frame and bring up the full screen GME chart for the for this thing. You know, it's been a week which has caused stress to a lot of people. And the reason for that, of course, is because we're in this area of consolidation where you can see the prices, of course, have been up and down. But that's not the only reason. Of course, we've had stress for other reasons as well this week. And it has overall just proven, really, to me again, that we're all the heroes of our own stories, and that's why I would encourage all of you to be as well. Be the heroes of your own stories, and then when everybody individually is acting that way to the best abilities and helping as much as they can, being a good person, blah blah blah, then everybody's a winner. So yes, stressful week. Glad it's coming to an end, and I'm looking forward to hopefully then next week. This last week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles has really expressed the consolidation. It was actually last week that we saw the drop down kind of happen, you know, and then so then there was the weekend, or you're thinking, oh, that wasn't as good as it was last week, etc., and then this throughout the week. So naturally, people have spent now what they feel emotionally. It's at least 10 days kind of drying out in the sun emotionally with this one. So it'll be nice to get to have something happen next week. Even if the prices drop down and it gives the likes of our Mr. 169 out there the chance to buy again at that price. So yeah, cool. Automatch is telling us, it's what's going on here with Automatch. Is Automatch just here to help us? Thanks so much, Automatch. Really appreciate it. No foul, he says. Well, okay. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Any chance the AMC hit $1 trillion a share tonight? I made plans. Oh, let's. I think what we're looking at with that one, I have to be honest with you, AMC. I'll just bring it up and say, there's the way this looks overall for me, with regards to whether or not we'll hit $1 trillion per share tonight on this one, is at best a 50-50 really on it. I wish I could say that it was better than that, but we've got that. Mike, thanks so much, Mike. And tell you what, Evan, as well, thanks so much for becoming an early supporter. Thank you so much. All of that sort of support out there is truly amazing. It's I've talked about this a lot of times. My motivation for starting this YouTube channel was in no small part because a feeling of wanting to have friends. I think that's fair enough, really. And yeah, just all of you out there show me that support. Bloody brilliant. Love it. No more damn dips, says Queen Bee. What does that remind you of? I can tell you what it reminds me of. No more damn dips. No more boom and bust. This is what you reminded me of for a second there. Queen Bee, you'll not know what this is, but
I will not allow house prices to get out of control and put at risk the sustainability of the recovery.
Not specifically this video. I don't know what this video is.
That under this government there will be no unsustainable dashes for growth, no out-of-control booms, no risk-taking with inflation, no quick fixes, and no short-term manipulation of...
You might not be able to hear that. Can you hear that, actually? Oh, shut up. Okay, there goes monetization on this video as well. Hey, 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 haha, poopa. That's life. Oh well. Yeah, right. I think he's maybe able to hear that. He's basically saying no more boom and bust, right? And it was a big mantra of his. And of course, how's this end? It ends with him kind of having a wee laugh. Does it? Let's just see what he's got at the end here. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, you just got me remembering. The UK folk out there will remember that crap. Where is it? Not that thing. That's not what I wanted to have up on screen at all. Not that at all. Because that would be silly. But just closing that out. Don't need that up on screen. Anyway, so yeah, back over here. Caterpillar charts, all that good stuff. Right, great. Vivenna, smacks Rocky Outcrop with a halibut. Thank you. What a party pooper. Ooh, are you talking about Gordon Brown? Gotcha, Rocky. Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed. No mistake, just happy accidents. Ooh, okay. Randy K. Oh, hi. Oh, hi. Ex-Taxapiquetti removed their message. They removed it. They removed it from Vision. So we're at 27 minutes past 8, dropping down from the weekly time frame. Oh, what was I talking about before? Yeah, whatever. The hourly time frame. We can see kind of the 200 simple daily, 200 simple period moving average. Had a conversation earlier on actually with somebody in the Discord with regards to moving averages, okay, and a lot of people make this simple sort of mistake. It's totally understandable. They talk about the moving average that they're looking at, and they say, "Oh, I'm looking at the 10 period moving average. No, sorry, I'm looking at the 10-day moving average." And you're like, well, that's nowhere near where the prices are. What are you talking about? When they mean to say they're looking at the 10 period moving average, because of course the moving average is only a day moving average if indeed you're looking at it on the daily chart, because it's an average of the candles that are on the very screen in front of you. Easily overlooked, right? Afterwards, a sort of thing that you think, oh gosh, how could I have thought that? But actually, it's one of these things that comes under that category of not stupid questions and all the rest of it. It really isn't, because so many people think that way. So here I have the 1 hour time frame, and that's the 200 period simple moving average, not the 200 day moving average. But I'll show you what the 200 day moving average looks like. Popping up to the 24-hour time frame, there's the 200-day moving average, because we're on the daily time frame. That's the 200 period simple moving average. Okay, so that's a distinction that people need to know. On the 1 hour time frame, it's bouncing off the 200 period simple moving average. So if you wanted to describe this situation to somebody, you would say the prices have just recently found support at the 200 period simple moving average, or indeed just the 200 simple moving average. On the 1 hour time frame, for example. And that's where we are right now with regards to these prices. Now, this low is not actually lower than our previous low, so when I look down here, I can't say that there's a sort of I can't say that that we're looking at a downward trend here. I actually have a low and then another low, and then overall just coming in slightly higher there with these lows. So slightly higher. Okay, so this isn't trending down the way, and that makes it really easy for us to say, we don't really want to see the prices closing out today below $212, really, in terms of a close on GME, and everything above that is pretty much, still like, the ball. You could say the ball's in not in either of our courts. The ball's in both of our courts. I don't really know. The ball's in the court somewhere, and neither side is particularly taking a big chunk out of the other quite yet with regards to the next series of prices. Down here in the 1 hour time frame on AMC, making it a little bit more visible for us, we can see that the 200 period simple moving average on the 1 hour time frame here is a significant distance away from the price, down there at $32, and the 50 simple period moving average is in here at $54, $55. And we talked about this before. So here's the hourly time frame, and breaking down below the 236 here on the hourly time frame below 55 would then obviously make you a bit worried about coming down another few bucks, etc. But then of course breaking down and going 100% retrace and not finding any support at that gap previously at 49 could see the prices dropping on down towards the 30, 32 level. That could all happen. Right now though, where we are is that we've got this beautiful, having filled in this gap here on the left, bounced off that Fibonacci, coming up here, and we're just looking to see if we can close above it again and just kind of keep the things going on. Closing above the 50 simple period moving average here means an awful lot in terms of just like I'll just get rid of that Fibonacci here and stick on a couple of different sort of indicators for you to see simple things that mean things or whatever in the world of how stuff works and shit. And you can see that we're down here, right here at the median line of the Donchian channels, for example. So from an overall sort of point of view, closing up above this, while it might seem fairly petty, but to say that 58 is a good thing is actually accurate. And I you could come on and I do this sort of thing all the time where I kind of show people how you could make various different comparisons. That's the Donchian channel set there with a look back period of 20. If I change it up to 26, you can see the 50% place is still in the same place there overall. Just hide that one for just now, and then bring on the Ichimoku. And it's not, it's just trying to show you how, like, around the world there'd be a lot of people who would be looking at various different things. You can imagine some Japanese investor like looking at the Ichimoku clouds, etc., and asking questions about certain things right now, and somebody else looking at a different indicator and asking questions about certain things right now, and for various different reasons thinking to themselves, although maybe mathematically it might be the same reason or whatever, but on an indicator, that something decent's happening. So if I just take the baseline and change that to white, so you can actually see where that is, you can see that that's the same place, that type of idea. So this is an all right place. We could obviously see the prices dropping down to that 56 price point that we're at earlier on today again, etc. But right now, to say that this isn't positive would obviously be an inaccurate thing to say. It's obviously a positive place for the price. Likewise here, while obviously we had previously had bearish price action, to say that what we're seeing right now isn't positive for the price is again also inaccurate. It is positive for the price, and we're while it is a little bit facetious almost to say, the function of having lower highs does indeed mean that it's easier at each given stage to break a high, which is whenever I'm talking, so then you would get this concept of higher highs and higher lows. And that's why when I talk about this I always mention the sort of fake out territories of consolidation phases. It's one of the unique things that I do on the channel. I specifically draw reference to where the fake outs would likely to be at. It's very useful to know, and that would be the fake out zone here. If you ever talked about technical analysis, and looking for measured moves, etc., then this is really like where your measured move would be, and of course that's where your fake out territory would be, and that's then how you're looking up towards that zone. Can we get up to 258? If we see the prices go up towards 239, 240, and then they could easily bounce back down again and retrace the triangle afterwards, yada yada yada. So there's a zone in between here, looking at the pattern, which doesn't really need you to look any further to be able to identify it, because quite simply you look towards your market structure within the pattern framework. And there you have it, right? So that's kind of that lesson there as well. Nice one. Kind of dropped a lesson in, and we've still got 27 minutes to go. Even though I started slightly late and I've done a few lessons, a couple of lessons already in the show, I still feel like, you get to these things and it's like, hey, it would be kind of nifty if time could kind of just speed up a little bit. Or whatever, keeping an eye out to see if we kind of break down past this zone at the minute, really, I suppose, with these small candles. So we'll check in on that when we come back in a minute. I'm going to just have to keep the flow going here for a wee while and talk about something else. Let's just talk about Bitcoin, etc., for a wee while, and come back again afterwards. You can see, I suppose, hopefully this while, especially for people who are trading AMC and GME, when I go and I do the technical analysis and then I buy some time, I talk about in the show here, to be able to go off and look at something else and then come back and then see how our previous assessments kind of stack up with where the new information looks at the time. And then I go off and look at other assets such as Bitcoin, etc. I hope that people are kind of learning lessons along the way, So I'm about to bring up the Bitcoin chart, and you're about to see the result of everything that we talked about recently with regards to the fallibility of the prices at certain key zones. So, okay, we've been aware of this, and you may or may not have been trading Bitcoin, but hopefully you're taking the benefit from it. So here we can see the Bitcoin price is right now $35,502. Now, a lot of good analysts, including those that I really respected, were talking about how they were expecting big moves to be coming here at this stage. And what happened there? Now, just drawing the context in again, because what I like to do when I deliver these sorts of educational lessons is to include information from one chart in the next, which is sometimes what lends to it being somewhat difficult to kind of make its own standalone episode about something or whatever if I tried to make clips from the show. But as you can see here, if I connect up those highs, so these wick here, those bodies there, these bodies just here, and drop on down the way, then this starts to look like a retest of that line, and connect these up down below. these bodies, you can connect up those there, you could connect it whatever way you want. Really, it doesn't really massively matter. The concept that I'm showing here is that, of course, what you needed to be aware of when you were looking for this breakout, as we explained numerous times throughout the week. So I'm trying to really trying quite hard right now to deliver a lesson which is hopefully transformative knowledge based on the stuff that we talked about throughout the week, what I just talked about there now on that GME chart, and what we're seeing in other assets, and it's and I appreciate that, of course, as well. This is still maybe too high a level for some people, so I'll stick in a couple of lessons here before the markets close and all that for on lower level stuffs, and over time, I assure you will gather quite a lot of good information from this channel, and it will really help. Okay, and that's what I really try to do. I've got a lot of good feedback over time, so just let's do it then. So what were we talking about there before? We were saying how there could be a breakout, etc., but of course we need to look out for fake out zones. And if I just kind of drawing this sort of this idea here, I was showing you that they've got this kind of zone in here which would be considered your fake out zone, right? Now, is it an untradeable event? Well, absolutely not. Looking at the move from just here, if you're talking about breaking up the way to where it came in at its highs, it was that 9% move, but it was certainly a lot less flatter into the accounts of those who were trading this than perhaps some people might have been thinking over the last week when they were looking at the potential for a setup on this one. Now, why is that? Well, that's because you overlook simple concepts such as the fake out territory to be very, very aware of. Obviously, people are going to be taking profits in here. Now, it's strange that I would say obviously people will be taking profits in here, but it just takes some smart accounts, smart money. Takes smart money. Now, the volume of smart money is obviously going to be quite high, but the amount of smarts that you need to have to behind it to make something happen is obviously a lot less, because really smart money is a very flattering term. It's more like deep pocket money, right? Like, let's be honest. Okay, I used to work in these industries. I know what it's actually like, right? Okay, so not everybody's like me, but anyway, smart money, so to speak, and that would come in here at that area, and that's why it's fair enough for me to say that was fairly obvious. So then seeing the pulls backs down the way here ever since is like coming in and asking a couple of questions like, are we just trying to retest some zone, etc.? And this is a 24-hour time frame. This area just here, like looking at that or whatever, could also be that very zone that you're looking at on a smaller time frame, etc. Depends on what it is. Anyway, suffice it to say that that this here constitutes technical analysis. Of course it does, but but what I'm really trying to do is just deliver that lesson, and I hope that some of it kind of stuck overall. I'm not too sure. I never know. I always just try my best. Just try your best every time. You'll at least have consistent content, whether or not any of its regardless of its efficacy. So what have we been talking about recently as well? Then we talked about a few different numbers. There was a zone towards the top side, and I talked about it. It was 38 to 42. So let's just re-examine those numbers again. Where was 38 at? Well, 38 is in around about this zone just here. And where's 42 at? Well, 42 is in around about this zone just here. So as you can see, the Bitcoin prices didn't quite get as high as 42, but what are you going to do? I mean, you're trying to deliver some. I mean, this is. I mean, seriously. If I go any further than this, then I'm actually entering the numbers into your account, and really, I'm trying to educate, etc. So that happened, and as a result, then we can probably expect to see some sort of turbulence across the markets. Looking up here, actually, you can't see it, but it's behind my head. How about just move myself over? You've got this list just over there, right? These are sort of my favorite assets that I've got saved on TradingView, and you can see that there's a whole. I mean, it's red, right? Okay, it's red. So we'll have a bit of a jaunt around crypto land. 20 minutes left in the day. Don't worry about it. I'm totally getting back over to doing some other technical analysis. Before we look at another chart though, and suffice it to say with Bitcoin, the fact is at the minute we're asking this question. Last week or whatever, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, last week we were speaking specifically about this zone and saying this is a potential for a bear trap, in this region as it goes down. Well, what could you say about that region? Well, clearly as well, this is your bull trap. If you want to be saying everything's a trap. Now, I'd like to kind of maybe diminish that chat a little bit, because people in this have been talking like, oh, trap, 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 and it's just become like a meme word in and of itself, as when like in the way that I kind of think that cup with handle has in lots of ways as well and stuff like that. So, but there is an element of that because if you're not aware of fake out zones, then what's liable to happen to you? Well, you get these sort of things, they look like that with these bits on it, and then you step on it and it goes bang and it gets you, and that's a trap. Anyhow, now the significance is, of course, of this area is because that was that zone, and we've now arrived right back down to it. So to say that you don't have an edge here to take a bounce off the back of this would obviously be a lie. But then to ignore the three key levels that we already had drawn in would obviously be pretty stupid as well. So we'll discuss what those key levels are, having already effectively done the TA to at least give enough confluence here with the chat that we've had to and there I could give you lots more, but let's be brief. And then you'd be looking down here, obviously, towards where this prior area was, and those would be your sort of the main key zones for you. And we're obviously at one at the minute with this 35.555 number. The number down below to be very keenly aware of, as well as all the threes: 33, 3, 33, 33, 33. The one just above us is going to be 37, 77, 77, 77, 77, and the one above that is going to be 40. Right, so 33 recurring, of course. 35 recurring, of course. 37 recurring, of course. 40, right, drop the mic. Movements beyond those zones, obviously different story, but right, anyway, how do I feel right now? There's an edge in there, like I said. Managing your risk appropriately, looking at your previous wicks is the way to do that. Okay, quick summary on that one. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is financial advice. It's there, but is it particularly amazing? Who knows? Like this is still Bitcoin I'm actually on at the minute. Oscillator wise, good, moved up here. This is the trend. Low high, not a lower low so far. Low high, low high, low high, above the neutral line, pushed back down the way. RSI coming in here. It's not quite bullishly divergent, so it's like right on the edge. It came right down. It's kind of more or less, dare I say, organic. And then you could move up the way. Right, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So over the last sort of week, we didn't get a nice rise up with Ethereum because, and then just like moving on from that, as you can see, Ethereum itself, 21, how low has it been today? 2,140. So, suffering a good deal there on the Ethereum. Can it get a bounce at these regions? Well, we would hope to think so, because this expresses a broader kind of a descending triangle of this region, or some other sort of thing. If you include this previous low in here. Now, one of these functions that we talked about quite recently has been the in the markets has been the V-shaped recovery. By the way, folks, as well, I will give some lower level technical analysis within the next 5. I'll do this until 10:2, and then I'll be back over on the two other charts, at which point for the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the day, from 10:2 until 5:2, I'll explain the concept of lower lows and lower highs and lows, and what it is to say high and low in the markets. Okay, and then last 5 minutes we'll talk about the price action for the end of the day. Quick update on everybody then, I suppose, for the sort of the anxious out there. 214.75. We've not broken down past that level. Obviously stressful, but we're above 212, so you can give me a shout out in the chat if it goes down below 212, I suppose. And over here in AMC, well, we're obviously above that 58 line at the minute, so that's what we're looking at on those ones. Ethereum here, could this potentially be a descending triangle? You are having to include this zone in here in order to kind of create that without this being a breakout, and that's kind of one of the sad case scenarios that ends up being the outcome from a V-shaped recovery, which never really actually managed to successfully recover overall. So we're at this stage here where we're putting in a low, which is lower than all of these other shitty lows along this downward trend, but also like really puts paid to the lie of not putting in a higher high at this point. Okay, so this is why I'm going to explain what higher highs and higher lows are. Right here, we didn't have a higher high. Here, we do have a lower low. What lower than what? This low over here, which means that you've got a trend here. Okay, at this point you've got this trend, which is all happening within inside this overall structure. So you've got that low here, that lower high. So this is your low. This is the low here, and then that's your lower high, which is hidden bearish divergence on it, I suppose. Then you've got this low over here, which isn't really a low, and that's not really a low, really, but it would be on the 4-hour time. In fact, so low, high, lower high. Is that a lower high on the 4-hour time frame? Right, it is. So this is sadly mostly sideways, but as a result of this pushing down at this stage here, it looks like it could be putting in a lower low. If it actually pushes back up the way here, okay, then it's nothing so far. If it closes lower than it, then it's convergent on the RSI and whatever else. But there's still time here within this 4-hour time frame. Here we got 15 minutes towards the end of the day, still time. So what I really want to see from Ethereum, if it's going to look more positive, is to go up another $100 here in the next 15 minutes. So possible. Good luck with it. In the meantime, it's looking shitty. Could it bounce back up? I would kind of more or less expect it to. Why is that? Because of this overall, and that there's plenty of time left in it if it wants to do that. If it breaks and actually closes, the next candle isn't a green candle breaking back up above it. If it only gets that one closure below this sort of 21,800 level, well then looking down, I said before as well, managing risk at sort of all the twos. So a lot of longs left the ship here at this price point in here around about 220 on the thingy. I've run out of time, have I? No, I've got 3 minutes left. Chainlink versus USDT, not the same situation because it's not quite as low overall here, but this is obviously this downward trend. This high at the minute though is your first higher high than the lows during the downward trend. That line's evidently useless. So this point here is maybe your first starting semblance of an upward trend overall. And where the prices come back down to? Well, they come back all the way down to retest the 236, and that's giving us that $20 price. Do I think again at this stage that you've got an edge? You absolutely do. How are you managing it down below 20? This is what we celebrated last week. When you got in at 20, it went up to 25. Is it possible to do that all over again? Yes. Where's your profit taking line coming in at 24? Where are we right now? $20. Don't come to me next week and say that you didn't get it. How would you manage your risk? Will you stop out your trade if it dropped down below 1989? I'm not a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice, but that's how I'd be looking at that, and I'm not going to discuss it any further at the minute because we've done all of this already. Actually, I suppose there's one last thing to discuss about it, and there isn't, in fact. And well, actually, yeah, the if we do close lower here, 4-hour time frame, and that actually ticks blue, gets above there, it's right on the edge. It's right on the edge, right at that point. That's showing you the DMI, showing you the ADX right here in the DMI. It will get that strength of trend if we break that 20 price point. Right, so then the Tesla's price, same sort of scenario overall. This price fine, $3 fine, moving down the way, managing risk 292. I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice, but I would also be looking then up there at say 340 and saying above that's greedy, and actually all the threes at the minute. So we'd be looking to 333, 3.33 as well as what it would be at this point. That's an obviously really tasty 10% move, which has got an edge on at the minute, where you'd have to risk what would you do? What would you do if you're thinking along these lines at the minute? It would be something along like this. I've got a minute. I've got 30 seconds of this left. So you can see there, you've got, and what are you getting on that stupid move? 3.4 to 1. Okay, there you go. Manage it how you like. Dot at $20. That sucks. That's probably goodbye though. Let's just see. Hidden bullish divergence perhaps there on that one. Goodbye on dot right now at the minute. Another edge on there for you. Polka dot. AMC GME. So how are we doing here at the minute? Right, we are 214.24. They're doing fine. 58.64. Last 10 minutes of the show. Hi Dad, nice to see you. 0-0 at half time. Lucky England. Oh, is it actually lucky England? Because that'd be good, wouldn't it? Apple Blossom says, happy Friday. Thank you so much, Apple Blossom. Rex Racer, you're already experiencing it. What are you talking about? When hoodoo sorcery? Ah, right, okay, yeah. When amble, I think we're doing all right. At night time in Scotland, there's less ambulances around because we've got a Scottish policy for that. It's like, get hurt during the day, or else it's the police will send round and will arrest you. I don't know, actually, I'm just talking shite. This is here, no 8Ks today, so we won't know anything about the offering being completed until Monday, maybe even after hours. Yeah, thanks very much for that. This is here. That's how I would probably be saying it as well. Yeah, would be handy if this was being done appropriately and then it was able to kind of get past that suppression of the prices or whatever. I suppose people are concerned about that, and that makes a good deal of sense. Rex Racer says, Poopy Wizard O'Clock. Nice. Mika Monty, this is here. Yeah, maybe Monday. Yeah. Lee Willis, well, Voddy and Iron Brew taste better than Parma Violet Ice Lollies. Aye. Yeah, and Parma Violets themselves as well. Parma Violet Cupcake was alright that I had one time as well. I mean, I always try the Parma Violet things, but I like, like melon ice cream. You know, I'd go into a shop and be like, oh, what have you got here? And they'd be like, Parma Violets. I'd be like, oh yeah, I tried that in the past. And they'd go, oh, we've got this one with like chunks of melon and strawberry and a mango puree thing going through it, whatever, you know, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll go with that one. And honeycomb. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just mad. Akash Sahora. Oh, by the way, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. It's nice to see all 200 of you here. If you hit the like button by jingles, that's appreciated. Mass Spectrometer, lights only. Woohoo! Everything red, says Mikamonti. Akasha Sahora. Yo, Rocky. Tony Wright content is cool. Thanks for introducing. Oh, that's cool. That's great. Rex Racer, lol, as in nothing from quad witching. Aye. Oh, well. That's right. Shitty witching in time. You're right, man. You're right. It's like Jimmy said, not massive amounts of volatility. Whatever. Screw them. Screw all these people and their expectations. We'll just do it whenever we want to. Right, it's 53 minutes past on my watch at the minute, which means I'm going to start doing the higher lows thing. So somebody asked, recently, because I did a video and I was talking about, it was the Elliott Wave video I was doing, in fact. They were like, what does it mean for a higher high and a higher low? Here's the AMC chart. Here's me hiding everything off. Okay, so higher highs in terms of the broader term picture here, 4 hour time frame. Very easy to identify higher highs. You can say from a very broad strokes point of view, there's a high, that one there, that's high. Which one's higher? Well, this one is higher, relative to, if you think about this as being high and this as being low. Okay, so that's kind of starting off at the first point. Some people might think, why are you explaining that? Well, because it makes sense. A lot of people's brains are wired the other way around. For example, when I say the higher time frames, I'm going 4 hours, then the 12 hours is a higher time frame. 24 is a higher time frame. Okay, that is higher. But a lot of people might think, but no, wait, the 1 minute would be a higher time frame because there's more 1 minutes in every hour than there are hours in every hour. So that's higher, right? So I get it, right? I get how there can be confusion about lots of stuff for different ways that other people might not understand. And I understand that that's a thing. This means higher, okay? So, but furthermore, what is it higher than? I mean, obviously it's higher than these other points, but really, you can see here we had a low and then we had a high. Now this is a low here and this is a high, and we had a low here, which is of course a higher low. Then in here we had a high, and that was a higher high, or was it in fact? I mean, just in terms, so it looks like it was a higher high, right? Let's just see, because when it really comes down to it, what you need to have is a close of a candle to be considered to be a higher high than previously. Was it really? And while we had candles here which closed higher than this candle closed over here, the body on this one, it's this is actually like an absolute edge case scenario here. Funnily enough, it wasn't actually a higher high overall. Not really. It didn't really achieve that. Although I would have totally accepted the debate had you said, no, this is high. This is actually one of those edge. Wow, hey, tell you what, choose to talk about something that just happens to be like that. How about we just move over here where this whole job gets a whole load easier, for example, and talk about the lows instead, right? High here, lower high, right? Okay. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and so on and so forth. That's what those are. And the significance of them then, of course, as well, is kind of demonstrated here is that you really do need to have higher highs come in and really properly do that, or else you're not changing the actual macro picture, because it's a massive deal in terms of psychological barriers, etc. Here we had a low and followed by a lower low, which is obviously really important when you're looking at your divergences, because this would need to be a lower low than the previous one for it to be bullishly divergent. As you can see, this low came in here on the RSI and was a higher low, higher than the previous low, whereas on here we had a low, which is this low here was lower than this low here, whereas on the RSI this low here was higher than this low here. So that's higher, that's lower, that's divergence. Gives you a good idea that maybe what's going on here is maybe some sort of accumulation where we're going to see the prices pop up afterwards. Lo and behold, they did. That's why trading this, you know, without the fundamentals at all was actually really fucking easy. Right, thanks so much, Frostcrest. Rocky Outcrop, would you mind demonstrating higher highs and higher lows on a 20-year cycle of Berkshire or some other long-term company? All right, cool, okay, good idea. 56 minutes 51. Just checking in with our pals. 215 on GME. What does that mean? It means we're back inside that triangle, obviously, that we were talking about before. We're just, you know, just their bodies are just back inside that right now. In fact, 5-minute time frame, so you can see this a bit easier. We're just back inside it right now. See it a bit easier. We're just back inside it right now at last. Okay, we're talking about it, so maybe it was worth not looking at the screen for a wee while in that sense. Nearly at $60 on this one. Really happy to see it be above 58, to be completely frank with you. Giving us that perfect setup for next week. What did we talk about, by the way, overall in the last wee while with AMC? What did we talk about as well in this period of time? Oh, God, all this on here, so much noise. Get rid of it. What did we talk about? We talked about how this could look like this. Do you remember this from the weekend, from the episode recently, and how this could look like this? Do you remember that? Do you remember how we talked about that? Do you remember how this is exactly what's happened on this one? So I believe I've probably bought myself enough time to it's 2 minutes to the close. Frostcrest, I'll do it, but let's watch the close. Let's watch the close anyway. Stick on the 1 minute time frame for AMC over there, and I'll stick it on the 1 minute time frame for GME over there. Seemingly my line trading view wants to like change the position of my line kind of fairly dramatically on that 1 minute time frame, I guess. Well, that's just the way it is, you know. We never really spent any time actually. What's going on with that? It never ever went even touched the line on that chart. And there it is on that one. Well, there it goes to show you. Seemingly the layout of trading view. Maybe it's because maybe it's because it's like trying to force it inside this one box. Well, there you have it. Oh no, this 1 minute. No, I don't know. Whatever. Interesting stuff. That doesn't usually happen like that. Anyway. A day for first. I'm going to look at that in a minute here. Was just coming into the final minute of the day. AMC giving it, really trying for that 60 close, you know, really trying for it, but essentially, you know, doing really more than enough in terms of having turned around just here. Great overall. What we want to see is the same sort of idea with GME in the sense. Now, when I say same, I don't mean that these charts are following each other, because it's evidently they're not almost in any way at all right now here, but still, nevertheless, the what we're looking for is the same sort of thing in the sense that we find support at a certain area. Rocky Outcrop, you're welcome to do a commodity instead of Berkshire. Just trying to see a working example of delta turning points. Right, cool, okay, man. The day will end at some point, right? And we'll be happy about it. And the reason, and when we get around to being happy about it, what we're going to talk about is the same things I've been talking about this entire time. Should I have really been like kind of trying to predict the movements of this flux at the minute? No, not really. The edge in the markets for both of these things, I suppose, in the final seconds here of the day, is like, you know, buying in these regions is pretty good, because we're still really in touching distance. There's the day closed. We're still in touching distance of above 212. Okay, that's cool in the minute. It's not ideal, right? It's not ideal. Really isn't. Really isn't. Okay, but there's still an edge there in that sense that we're within this, still within this. I mean, it's going to be like a case of it's gestalt. I've explained this so many times. Like, you think that it's not in it when you do something, but if you change it around ever so slightly, then holy shit, is that the way it's supposed to be? It's quite gestalt, you know. Your brain locks in on an image and says that's what something is. I'm going to stick with it. So in 2 minutes, I'll go over and take a look at Baksha or something like that. I hate Berkshire Hathaway because I hate Warren Buffett. I hate Warren Buffett because of his stupid face. I mean, it really boils down to simple things like that. And going around, you know, giving investment advice after you buy, you know, lose $8 billion buying Kraft, and I don't know, just the numerous stupid things that you know he's done over the years, and people are like, oh, he's amazing. It's like, yeah, he's amazing. No, he's actually just got tons of money. He started off with tons of money. He lived a long time. Nice. Right. Duro, Rocky Outcrop, more likely Rocky outstanding great TA. All right, thanks very much, man. You're welcome to do. Oh, right, cool. Actually, right, great. So 20. So this is the current situation. Hoping for this. Aware of this. This leads into 179. This goes up towards 261. Boom, great. This is the current situation here on AMC, right? Do 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 do, bam bam bam, whoop whoop whoop, bang bang bong, bish bosh, jobs are good in, bish bosh. What were those lows? Not quite. Yeah, I don't know why I've got 46 written right there at the minute. I guess that was from the other day. That was from the other day down here or something. I don't know. I don't have a clue. Was that from over there? I don't have a clue. 46 written on there for a reason. Probably two reasons actually, if I'm honest. This is the current picture here on AMC. What does that mean? Well, it means something along these lines. Either we, you know, we're looking forward to something like this, which should of course be all-time highs, and that would be great, and we can do this fucking shit all over again thereafter. Totally happy to. Or we're looking for this, and what would that be? That'd be higher lows overall. You know, so if we can, you know, sustain price action above at sort of, you know, next week at the start on Monday, whatever, you know, we're looking here and saying $58 is a sort of pivot point for us. And if we're looking at the top end, then we're saying $64, 65, you know, just so you can kind of, you know, you don't get too excited in the 64 to 65 price point, and that's what we're looking for. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Right, cool, great, done, excellent, nice one. So where we're going to go for Baksha, that's Berkshire Homes. You asked for Baksha, which is the other guy. No, not getting it. So is it one? Is it right? Berkshire. Well, we'll go for Berkshire Homes anyway. No, we won't. What the fuck is that, man? What the fuck is that? This is weird. Right. We'll go for something which is. We'll not go for oil because it's. We'll not go for oil. We could go for gold, but I was looking at gold recently. What's likely to pop up on Wall Street Bets as a meme stock in the near future? Platinum or uranium is likely. People love forcing other people to buy uranium. Let's go for uranium. People love telling people to buy uranium. Right. So which one will we go for on here? We'll go for the uranium ETF. How long has this been running? Because I want it to be a decent amount of time for this one as well, up on the weekly time frame. Yeah, long time. Cool, excellent. Yeah, right. We're going to talk about higher highs and higher lows. This is the weekly time frame. Never made that into a clip yesterday when I did that thing, by the way. But I could do it. Do you all want to see what my intro credits used to look like? A lot of people watching right now don't even know what they look like. I'll do that, right? Check this out. Hi friends, this is an episode all about what higher highs and higher lows look like and how they can inform you during your trading. If you look over here, you'll see that there's some higher highs. If you look over here, you'll see that there's some lower lows. Maybe there's something to be known about this, and it might help you kind of understand some of these broader concepts or more specific concepts in trading. All of that to come in this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to see this thing. Yeah, where is my intro clips? Where's my intro clips? It's not this one. Hi, Spock. How you doing? It's this one. That's pretty cool, right? Anyway, so yeah, my name's Rocky Outcrop. I do this all the time. I'm pretty good at it. People like it. It's fucking awesome. Join the community. So what you can see here is this little section here of price action right here, okay? And you can see it's going up. We'll come back and talk about that after we've talked about the whole downward movement. What chart have I got up in the meantime and behind me? That is a uranium ETF. We can look back at this since 2011 or so. And you can see here, of course, that the prices dropped down and they went down and they went down and they went down. And then you've maybe heard this concept, oh yeah, we're looking out for higher highs, we want to see a higher low, and all these things being kind of bandied around, and you're looking at the charts and all you're just seeing is tons of movement, not really knowing what would really constitute one or the other. Well, let's look at this in a bit more detail. Throughout this is the weekly time frame as well, so we're not messing around here. You can see that this is a high and we've got some lows, but overall here this is just sliding down. At no point did we see any rising up during this to really say that there was much of a high. You could maybe make the argument, and almost certainly would on a small term time frame like the 4 hour time frame, all the way back over there, that there was numerous other highs, etc., along the way. As you can see, there's numerous of them here, and this is the starting chart that I was just looking at a second ago. And as you can see, when we came down here, that indeed there were highs along the way, as you can see, but none of these highs on this smaller time frame ever took out any of the other highs. So again, you still might be confused. Let me just kind of draw in. Here was a high, for example, and here was a low. As you can see, the prices dropped down and then moved back up the way. Here you can say that we had a high, and over here you could say we had a low. Here we had a high, here we had a low, etc. Now there is a good deal of debate, as to whether or not these would constitute highs. Quite often it turns down to then questioning about the time frame. As you can see, we had highs on here on the 4 hour. When I jump back up to the weekly in a second, they kind of amortize down into not really actually managing to really necessarily stand out as being a high. That's one concept with them. Another idea about then highs, which we'll discuss in a wee while, is whether or not they actually supersede or increase or go higher than other highs. So here's up here, this would be high, in price. This is high because what we're talking about is moving up higher in price, a larger number. And this, of course, down here, this would be lower, because that's a lower number. So that's what high and low mean in terms of that respect for people. Okay, great. Nice one. So we can see, I think at this stage, we'll be able to see that this chart is made up of lots of highs and lows all along the way, right? However, as well, we'll also know on a larger time frame at this stage that a lot of those highs and lows, which were visible, on the lower term time frames, are not necessarily anything. As you can see in this whole section just here on the weekly time frame, as what we were looking at before on the 4 hour time frame, that it just mostly just kind of goes down. Some candles are green, sure they are, but they don't actually manage to do anything. And that really ties into this concept of what a higher high and a higher low would be. Before you can understand what a higher high and a higher low, or a lower low and a lower low and a higher low is, you need to understand what lows and highs are. Okay, so that's I hopefully understanding lows and highs, and a few ways of kind of saying, well, has it done enough? You can do it in numerous different ways. For instance, one quick way of doing it is to take from, say, the departure point, look down the way with regards to your 236, and say, have we come up past certain levels, such as like 50%? If it's on this chart, then you'd be like, well, for sure, now we could say that we've confirmed a local low in there, because it probably will look like that visually as well, right? Okay, so this is an important chart in terms of well, this is a uranium chart, whatever, but this could be on any chart, and trying to understand then pivots, etc., and how that can really be important is well, it's key, isn't it? So so what is a higher high and a higher low? Well, this is a chart that's trending towards the downside. And what is a trend? Okay, so what is a trend? A trend is, oh, what the hell? I actually specifically fixed that app earlier on and got the different version of it and everything, so that's really annoying. Anyway, the trend, and I'll be getting a shout out to people. I'll be doing that soon. Right. Lower. So what is a trend? What is a trend? What is a trend? Well, a trend is essentially for a downtrend. A downtrend is lower lows and lower highs. Okay. An uptrend is higher highs and higher lows. Okay, so that's what they are. I mean, that's what a trend is. And so when people say the trend is your friend until the end of the trend, this is kind of this concept that they're looking to here, right? So so as a concept, we can say there was a downtrend here. And how can you say there was a downtrend? Well, because we've got lower lows and lower highs. Where are the lows here in this chart? Well, you can see in that section we explored before, not much to say in terms of lows, but here's a low here and here's a high here. And then what if thank you so much for that. I'll be checking that in a second. Here's a low here. Or here's a low here, here's a high here. Is this high higher than that price action over there? No, it's not. That means that it is, of course, a lower high. Here we have a low. Now at this stage here, is this low lower than, that's really frustrating, I'll just get rid of me for now. Is this lower than that other low? Well, let's explore that for a quick second here. And we can see, when we zoom on in, that in fact this low was not lower. Interesting. So when you see that suddenly you don't actually have a lower low anymore, if this suddenly becomes if this idea here suddenly becomes questionable, then perhaps what you're looking at is a change in behavior. And then the prices maybe move up a wee bit. At this point here, what did we have? What was this? It was a high. Now, what people are going to be debating in the audience right now is whether or not that high is a higher high. You might say that's a higher high. Well, let's explore that idea a wee bit, bringing us back a couple of minutes in terms of what we were talking about in terms of the difference between highs and higher highs. Well, this is a high, but what is a higher high? It's the same concept as before. So what we had before here is what is a trend? Well, what is a higher high, right? Okay, well, it is as part of a trend, right? It's a good concept to have. Now you could of course debate this, and it is a valid debate to have, and a lot of people say that is a higher high. It's higher than that previous high, and that is very, very, very crucial when you're looking at reversals in markets, and we'll get around to talking that in a minute here. But also you've got to ask the question, well, is it a part of a trend? Actually, well, I'll just change these two words around here. Well, is it a part of a trend? Okay, so that's we haven't asked that question there. What is a trend then is the question. So I can then say here, take my writing here, and I can say pop this up above that writing, and we can read through the thing again. What is a higher high? Well, is it a part of a trend? What is a trend? Well, a downtrend is lower lows and lower highs, and an uptrend is higher highs and higher lows. Well, where do we have higher highs and higher lows? This is just a high. So far, it's just a high. Is it higher than this one? Well, this was part of a different trend. Okay, so this was actually a, right? Let's just identify it properly. Lower high. Okay, this is a lower high right in here. How can we say it was a lower high? How do we know that that was a lower high? Because here was a low, here was a lower high, here was a low, or sorry, just ignore that one. Just ignore that one because it wasn't really, in this time frame. It was a pivot point in the market, sure, and ultimately. There's just your low, and then what is that then? Again, it's a lower high. It's a lower high, right? It's lower high. It's lower than previous highs, right? Okay, so is this then a higher high? No, it's a high. That would be the debate stance that I would take on it. So has the trend changed at this point? Not necessarily. Why can you say that? Well, because we have had a high, which is indeed higher than one of our lower highs. However, monthly time frame, and where is it? Oh, it's a high in here in the monthly time frame as well, actually. Well, a lot of people probably got trapped in their money at that point there, over, or trapped in the trade. They're looking for a reversal in the markets, looking for a thing, and then you're saying, well, if we're going to trend up, as soon as you've got your high in, you're going to start looking for, and it's not going to take, you're by this stage you'll be able to guess it, but you are actually learning here, especially I think if you think that this is almost too easy to understand, then I swear you're learning an awful lot if that's what you're thinking already at this stage. The zoom level on this for draw, right? So you're asking, as soon as you see a high, okay, what are you asking? Well, you're asking, is it a part of a trend? Well, you know that this one here wasn't part of a trend so far, that there was prior trend, and that prior trend could continue if we don't get a new trend in. So what are we looking for at this stage? Well, we're looking for what could have been a higher low. Everybody then is looking for a higher low because, of course, what is a trend? Well, we're looking for a higher low at this point. In fact, maybe I shouldn't have deleted that text there, because that text kind of handy. Okay, so you're looking for to say at this point here, you're trying to say, well, have we got a new trend on the go? Okay, that's what you're trying to find out. And how would you identify the trend if there was actually a trend there, as opposed to just one high, which is why a lot of people lost money on that uranium at that point. How would you identify the trend? Oh, FFS. All right, and I know you know the answer to this one already, because you've been listening along. Well, what you'd be doing is you'd be looking for higher highs and higher lows. Well, so far we don't have higher highs, but we are also already looking for higher lows, but we want to have a higher low. So we have a previous low. Now, we can be higher than our previous low, okay? Our previous low, wait, where is it? Yeah, here. We could be higher than our previous low. So what we're looking for is at this point here, when we bounced up a little bit, it's kind of, you see the prices took up a wee bit, you'd be saying, well, is this going to turn out to be the higher low? Because if this is, then maybe we're trending up the way. Maybe there's a new trend. And being a trader is so often is a case of identifying trends. Okay, so here we can see there's a couple of dynamics for us on the go. If the prices were to drop down past this price point over here, they'd obviously be doing what? They'd be doing a lower low, right? In fact, just a second. Great. So you'd be doing a lower low, right? If the prices were to take out that area. Great. So we've understood something. So we understand that this, therefore, represents what? Well, that represents a pivot point, perhaps. Wouldn't you know? As soon as I put arrowheads on my thingies, wouldn't you know? Sod's law. Right. So that would be a pivot point in the market. What would this be then at this point? Well, you're trying to identify, have we done enough to have put in a higher high? Let's just kind of look at this and say, well, from our departure point, for example, this is just one example, where did we get to? Well, in terms of this Fibonacci here, we didn't even really take out the 236 properly. Zooming on in, what can we see here? And this is a broader time frame. We didn't take it out properly on the weekly time frame, dropping down towards the daily time frame and going through all the hassle that involves. And you can see here that in terms of the daily, we did close some dailies above this region, but we didn't really get any follow through, right? We didn't get any follow through, and that the consolidation that we had was was obviously just ultimately turned out to not be positive. And then what do we see here when we drop down the way? That there was a little green candle. Do you see this here? Do you see this here? This little green candle. Do you see here how the prices came all the way down to our pivot point? And then what happened? There was a little green candle right in here. This chart that I chose by complete, just randomly to try and make this point here. This is not specific to this chart. This is on all charts, and you see this sort of thing. Now, I didn't know that there would be that area just there. It just turns out that there was, okay? It just turns out that there was. If I'd been trading this at the time, then I would have thought, do I have an edge in the markets in here? And the answer would be, of course, in the affirmative. Yes, yes. Yes, right? But you'd have had to have been fairly conservative there. Why? Why would you have had to be conservative there? Because that is, of course, a counter trend move. Counter trend, right? Why is counter trend moves? Why are counter trend moves something that you would need to be more cautious about? Well, quite simply, because one of the key components of being a trader, or indeed an investor across time, is to follow the trend. And what is a trend? Well, at this point here, we already know that if the prices don't successfully get follow through towards the top side, and indeed if they come down towards this area and they don't bounce with a degree of momentum, then what's going to happen? Well, you're going to have a downward trend, aren't you? And that is a continuation of the prior trend. And when you use Fibonacci tools, what are they for? Retracements against the trend to see how it will retrace, as how well it will trace against the trend. Well, this is a downward trend, isn't it? And you're looking at how well things would retrace against them. This component here is retracing against the downward trend from the high at 21st of February 2012 down to the low of 16th of April 2012. And you can see the failure there at that point. Okay, so that's understanding then the significance, and just to reiterate, the significance of understanding when you've got a local low, being able to identify that despite having a bounce, it maybe isn't a local low because it hasn't done enough to really secure it in there from looking at it and just saying, you know, visually even, just to the most basic principle, that actually represents a movement in price. We can see in terms of looking at comparisons between the 4-hour time frame and the weekly here, how all of the highs, and there's numerous ones, and the lows just kind of blend into an overall trend that you can see as well. So there you have the overall concepts. Now as we go on down the way, we can follow that on down. What do we see here? High, low, high, low, high, low, high. What did it do? Came up here. Did it take it out? No. Right? Then we have low, right? Was it a lower low? Oh, maybe not. Okay. Did it actually manage to actually successfully, you know, really have a local low there necessarily or not? Maybe not. Trend continues all the way on down. Then we're in the heavily trending market. Then we're in a consolidating market, a kangaroo market, if you like, for a while. What do we have here? Low, high. Higher high. Is that a higher low? No, it's not. Actually, it's an equal low. So we got a low, an equal low, or perhaps a lower low. Certain time frames it will be. Other time frames it won't be. Up, a higher high. Debatable still anyway. What do we have here? A higher low. Great. What's that? Maybe a lower high. What's that? A lower low. What's that? A higher high or a high. What's that? It's a double low. What's that? A failure. Oh shit, a lower low. And you can see here, what's that called? Well, that's often called a kangaroo market. For obvious reasons, right? Moving on then, what do we see here? Well, we've discussed this concept a fuck ton of times recently. We've got a V-shaped recovery. Key components of this, well, it managed to get above 90% of the recovery from it, actually closed up here above it. When it traced back down, it found support on the way afterwards as well. So that's one. This is a bottoming formation, one type of bottoming formation, a V-shaped recovery. Another type of bottoming formation, of course, is the head and shoulders. Here's a shoulder, here's a head, here's a shoulder. The neckline on it is kind of, you know, around about there, to be honest with you. Some people will try to say that this is that the neckline is in this region here because of that consolidation, but so often head and shoulders have got shitty layout for them, and it's actually a zone that you have to make it through. As you can see, this then obviously resulted in that consolidation and retreat afterwards, resulting in this actually becoming another shoulder of that overall move. And then you could say that was your neckline, you could say that was your neckline, whatever. As you can see up here, that any move at this point here, which actually had momentum to go along with it, increase in volume, blah 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 blah. And what do you have here? This here is a trend turning around after a long period of consolidation towards the lower end of a market. Entirely different thing. Now, to just suddenly turn around midway through a trend. Now, do you need to see something like this? Absolutely not. Markets can move up and down, and especially on lower term time frames. When people say that the broader term time frames are king, this is often one of those core reasons for why. Oh, look, I'm here. I could have been here the whole time. Anyway, great. Nice to know that we've learned quite a bit. So what can we take from the lessons that we've had over here into the next into the near future? What can we take from this? Well, here was a low. Okay, so here was a low. Let me just actually ditch all these drawings for now then. So here was a low. what was this? A high. Okay, this was a high. This was a low. This was a low here. Great. And then somewhere in here, you know, maybe there's a sort of question mark zone, question mark one just in there as to whether or not that was actually a local high and a local low and constitutes part of this upward trend. But if that is the case, looking at this formation up here, we'll probably be sure at this point that there's going to be a ton of bearish divergence. And as you can see, there is bearish divergence there at that pivot point that I was just talking about. That could be a high or a low. What do you have? Well, you have a high and a low on the RSI as well, and because of the lack of follow through momentum towards the top side, you've got bearish divergence, and it looks like it could be a market that's ready to roll over to an extent. Looking in this here, then you get a low because of this low at this point, and that means that at this point here you've got an RSI swing failure on the go on uranium, having just taken out our previous low. Could we see a bounce at this point and that and go on up the way? Yes, you could, but it would need to take out these areas on the RSI for you to start to say that that didn't work. And of course, then if you to see the prices dropping down, then they could drop down a significant amount. Therefore, you'd be looking at this and saying that if you do actually get any continuation past a certain point, that you'd have a definite easy short-term trade towards the lower side, bringing in Fibonacci, for example, and saying, well, that the easy move on this one is just to kind of cash out at 17 bucks if you were to go down the way. So you could easily take a lower risk if you were trying to play off the back of that edge, move towards this zone, bearing in mind that, of course, it could turn around at any fucking time. I mean, whatever. This is what we've seen along this level here. This is just mostly warning. However, this is obviously fairly significant, and maybe we get a failure here with an equal high on a lower term time frame before dropping down the way, and this is the flux that we need to see at this area, and you've got all of that on the broad term picture. You can see that we've just turned around post the breaking back down past the 40 level on the DMI. The ADX has started to turn towards the downside, and of course you've got bearish divergence there on the MACD as well. And that's how you do technical analysis if you want to, like, you know, do it well. And then what you do is that you can drop down towards the 24-hour time frame. You can sort of ditch all the fucking drawings again because they're in your face, and you can say, well, what was he talking about just there? Well, this is obviously going to be bearishly divergent at those highs there, and as you can see, very much is. You know, then you can also identify another swing area for us. Got two of them there. Taking out the neutral line just lines up perfectly for us. More, well, not perfect, but good enough there. So what we know then at this point is that you've got an edge that should you break that level there, $20, then of course you've got your trade on for the potential of 17. That's technical analysis. That's how you do it. That's starting off from a perspective of saying what is a low and what is a high. Therefore, what is a lower low? What is a higher high? Therefore, what is a trend? Therefore, how do you understand when a trend is kind of changing? How do you understand when you've got a lower a bottom in a trend? How do you understand then to be cautious along the way on any other trend to see if things are changing? And all sorts of good shit in my camera. And I'm back again, but there we go. Nice one. How did you like that? If you liked that and you think to yourself, I got some value in it, I swear to goodness, if you could help me overcome the shadow ban that YouTube has on my account by hitting like, leaving a comment, and perhaps hitting the share button, you'd be doing me a huge favor. I've been doing YouTube for over 18 months. I've got over 1,400 videos, and I'm a genuinely decent guy that likes to help. Thanks so much. Okay, cool. Right, I think we're pretty much done here, by the way, more or less. I'll just crack in with the chat and see how people are getting along. Right, let me see. Rocky Outcrop, after the consolidation of the V formation, the down move and the up move seem to have a balanced or similar momentum. Is this a coincidence or a pattern that emerges everywhere? It's a pattern that emerges everywhere. It's got, and by the way, there's another super chat I just messed up above as well. Oh, it's from yourself too. Rocky Outcrop, so these localized highs, lows that look like staircases, these are the points that the delta phenomenon points to. Yes. And it's good that you said staircases, because this is what people would that one's not perfect for it, but in terms of the downward trend there, this formation here, and it says it looks like staircases. I mean, it really does, doesn't it? This is one of these things where you could say we're just staircasing down, right? And that's a great phrase, and it perfectly lines up with that. You can see the equilibriums that you're likely to get in the markets at certain times as well, lining up here down below. You can see as well with the transition between the neutral line along the way, with the lack of price action at points at which you'd be going through the neutral line, whatever, in terms of the balance that's there. Thank you so much, by the way, for everybody that's donating at the minute. You can see all that. That's all there to be seen at the same time when you've got these delta points. And when you're actually talking talking about equilibrium points as well, then this is one of these facets that exists inside the DMI with regards to equilibrium points as well on price action. So let's just see if we can get something in here for a split second as well to see in terms of like you know, the background of my DMI here has got these horizontal lines on it that give you an easier enough kind of way to look without me having to draw on top with regards to equilibrium inside markets, okay? And in terms of the movements here, so these things only move, they only move when the if you've got a candle here and another candle after it, and let's just you've got to make it so you've got a candle there and another candle after it, and then if this section here works out the value to which you can add on to this thing, blah 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 blah, right? Across an average movement period of time, and it gives you a number which is going to be added on, right? So and when there's no downward movement, then the downward doesn't get anything; it gets a 0 added onto it, which is obviously adding a 0 onto this, so it then sinks down the way because its average over time would have been higher. It would have been like, say its average is 10, and that's made up of 10 ones, and then you take a 1 off of it and you put a 0 on. Well, then suddenly the average is 9, so it drops down the way because you're talking about a number that's always going to be bigger than 0, and then which leads to you being able to readily identify equilibrium across markets whenever you've seen the amount of the overall shift in the movement of the prices, and then therefore whenever you then look at the charts and you kind of pop this up a wee bit here and you see the equilibrium points in markets that are coming in at the highs and the pivots as well as you're going along, and then you're able to compare them and you can say, well, at these times we did these things and they've got these higher highs, etc. That's a good thing. At this point here, you can see there's a divergence between these 2 points just here and then just here, but then the markets kept going on the way anyway. And this is this kind of like this if you like the issue with divergences at certain times, and we can just kind of mix that in a wee bit by talking about the the RSI. See, the thing is as well, there's also the concept, because if you've got a swing failure here, you have to be aware that as a part of a trend, that if that's coming in at a low, which is a higher low, right? That's what that is, just there, higher low, and you've got the swing failure. That's also going to typically also represent hidden bullish divergence. Okay, so when you understand that you've got it's got hidden bullish divergence on it, then you're looking and you're saying, well, if we actually push past the 236 at this point here, then the swing failure is maybe not on, or maybe not 236, perhaps the 382 probably at this point. There's you'd be saying the swing failure is not on, and in fact that's hidden bullish divergence. Maybe we're going to go in for another high, despite the fact that we've been divergent overall. And you can still see that overall, though, that we are divergent overall, but we're putting in these oscillations in between, which means it's like a case of then obviously then having to manage your positions and manage your risk accordingly. Okay, right. Rocky Outcrop, sorry, just a second, by the way. Thanks everybody for these donations. I really, man, like everybody out there, appreciate it. After consolidation of the V formation, down move and the up move seem to have a balanced or similar momentum. Is this a coincidence or pattern emergence? All right, so you're also talking there about the after this V factors, right? So after this V, you're saying move down, seem to have balanced or similar momentum. Yeah, okay. So yeah, right. There's going to be a lot of people here. You can apply any narratives are helpful for understanding perhaps psychology, etc. But they have but they've also got a trap in them, in that you can apply a narrative to something and think that it means it's the truth when it's not. It's analogous. It represents the truth. It's a truism, but it isn't necessarily the truth in and of itself. But one narrative here, for instance, is that you got a lot of people that are trading here that got caught off guard. Prices came back up, and they're thinking to themselves the whole way along. They're thinking to themselves, like, as their sad face, they're thinking to themselves, if the price ever goes back to my entry, then I will sell. You know, you've got, you know, and that is typical. It's just like a lot of people think like that is true. It's not the truth of markets, but a lot of that is, you know, in that area just there, you know, which lends itself to that equilibrium just anyway, as you would perhaps expect. Another way of the same thing is like I should have taken profits. There is no way I will take a loss, right? You know, for example, so everyone that says like, oh, I'm going to short it from here, pops all the way down, they're 100% up on their position, it's gone back up here, they're back at 0 P&L, and they start thinking, ah, shit, I should have taken profits, there's no way I'll take a loss, blah blah blah, right? So there's all these sorts of things that are on the go in these, with these dynamics on the charts, and the RSI is really great for this, because when you've got this balance, so you've got this balance coming along here. Fuck, this has turned into a real full-on technical analysis course for people. It's hard for me to answer a question on a. It's funny that, because I thought I had intended to. Can you let me know in the chat if this is accessible or not? I wanted this to be as accessible as I possibly could make it, so I went to great lengths to do so. But then I suppose the momentum of talking about these things and how it leads to new ideas really kind of, you know, I find it fascinating. It's one of my passions. So I didn't put the brakes on and stop talking about complicated stuff. And here at this stage in it, we're talking about, you know, really fairly advanced understandings of things. Nevertheless, as you can see here, we're operating in a zone which is like negative. We've been trending down the way, blah 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 blah. You'd be expecting then, of course, then I talk about this quite frequently, that when the prices are up in this zone, that just getting into them at all is considered to be overbought, rather than when you're actually above wherever, actually 70. Well, yeah, no, just like this zone here is overbought, as opposed to having to be up in this zone here to be overbought. Whenever you've been in a trending market and you're coming down and you're hitting these extreme lows, just get into this area is overbought, right? So then what you're seeing is that in the oscillations of this, and by oscillations I mean movements from the higher areas to the lower areas and the lower areas to the higher areas oscillating, then what you have is this feature where when you know that that's the case and you see the prices coming higher and then not dropping back down the way, then you can see the flip in that and I don't know if this goes directly to what you were asking, but perhaps it's revealing in and of itself, and it's worthwhile talking about it from that point of view. Then you can see that that when we have the trend and changing in the markets here, that this here is now in a position where we're starting to do this sort of a thing rather than this sort of a thing, you know. So we were coming down to these lows, and that zone, this and this area in here was like overbought, where we're going to then ditch back down the way, as opposed to thinking that, okay, sorry, there's a concept with RSI where up here you'd be an overbought, they call it, and down here you'd be oversold. And the idea is that you're going to flip from one to the next in terms of these things. That's massively reductionist. This isn't reductionist. And that and you're looking here and you're saying, well, this is a balance zone and this is a balance zone. Where are we during this? Well, we're kind of going down here, and anything in here is overbought, as opposed to being in the extreme zones. Whereas then we've come back up and we've made it up towards this zone. We've actually, meanwhile, instead of coming up not quite as high and still doing this and then moving down the way, and for like examples of that, here you have Ethereum, for example, or any cryptocurrency right now, you know, so recently we had a big drop down. Damn it, that chart's not like got the more beautiful sort of looking potential V on it. So yeah, well, anyway, you've got a big drop down over here, and you're saying can't, whatever, you got the point. I was going to try and show you that. What was I going to try and show you? I was going to try and show you something that was great. Anyway, I need to go back to the other chart there, because obviously I've got to that point where I don't want to start forgetting things and then going on forever and ever and ever. But right, so in here you can see then, and I don't know, maybe I already made the point when I was trying to struggle through that there section, that we flipped it around, and then in terms of the equilibrium, the neutral line is very useful here. As you can see, you know, finding support at the neutral line again. Yes, we did push down here, but at this stage, if we're putting in higher highs and higher lows, then what are we doing? If we put in higher highs and higher lows, we're trending perhaps, you know, tentatively, and this is actually over quite a period of time, so yeah, we're trending towards the top side. We've got the trend on our side. The trend is our friend. We come down to the neutral line. This is oversold. We bounce off the bearish control zone, move up the way again thereafter, etc. And you can see the equilibriums. You can see the change, you know. And yeah, great, right, nice one. CC 1999, thank you so much for that, really appreciate it. Brian says, Rocky, I appreciate everything you do for the community. Have a fantastic weekend. I'm looking forward to next week already. Could you take a look at Naked? Thanks. Yes, I could. Thanks so much for that. I really appreciate it. What time are we at here? 21:40. I'll be tuning out in the next within the next 20 minutes, or the next 5. You know, I don't know. Luke Spears, great lessons. Thank you so much. Are you talking to somebody else? Maybe you're talking to somebody else in there, in which case... Oh, no, Rocky, you said it. I see you corrected. Thanks, man. Chris Sweeney, cheers to Rocky, Outcrop, Tracebon, and Andy Lee. Yeah, cool. Cheers to Andy Lee as well, massively. I think the guy's such a nice guy. You got... thank you, Rocky. You're welcome, Christy. Juro, thank you. Cachito Valador, hi Rocky. So now that my GME chart has reached its apex since January premature squeeziation, what doing with chart? Good question. So, and what do we have down here? Frost Grace, you're not struggling, mate. You're being very clear. Oh, thanks so much. Duro, troublemakers talking to each other, trending up maybe. I think you're probably trying to put answers in there and stuff like that as well. I'm sure you probably... I'm sorry for... when I asked those questions earlier on and I didn't review the answers on them, it was part of my rhetoric at the time as opposed to necessarily seeking the answers, although, you know, they certainly weren't rhetorical questions in that sort of a sense. So I'm glad that you were answering them along the way if that's what you were doing. Eddie Qureshi says, hey Rocky and Jamie. Man on Earth says, thanks Rocky, have a great weekend. So that's brilliant. So we had somebody asking for something. We're going to take a look there in a minute because of what Cachito said with GME charts. We'll talk about what doing in a second. And we had we also had, what was it here? Naked. Yeah, you want to take a look at Naked. Let's take a look at Naked, right? Right. So, 24-hour time frame, massive downward movement. Not the sort of V type shaped recovery, right? Okay, that you saw over there on uranium, but maybe perhaps now, having spent so long looking at one chart and looking at another, you can see that aspect of things. We're still in this zone just here, and this is that's the macro. In terms of the micro picture, 67 was what I was saying would be your best buy price. What did we end the day at? 67. That's not bad. Where did we see the lows at today? 65. Okay, so I was off by 2 cents. Not too bad when the prices were 76, 78. Not, you know, not too bad to be off by 1-2 cents whenever you've had to, you know, wait the prices drop down 20% for it. Is that necessarily fair though? Have we done enough? Have we done enough on this time frame, the 30-minute time frame? It's a bit hard to see if we've done enough. I would say that, you know, actually just kind of broadly speaking, looking at it, no, not necessarily. At this stage, what you're obviously looking for is to try and find, do we have a local low? We don't necessarily have one. I mean, we certainly don't now. We just had the last couple of candles have been red candles. We don't have a local low as yet. As soon as we see the prices actually start to pick up towards the top side, we will. This is being quite strict on ourselves because I'm using that massive volatility of that wick up above to make this assessment, but maybe it's fair enough. You know, when we get above 72, then you know you've got a really good trade on from anything you bought below, but at the meantime, not necessarily. And then in terms of going body, essentially to body here with this one, then it's 70. Maybe that makes a bit more sense if this is a local low. Going up above 70, I think, and taking out that zone, just zooming on in the way here and zooming in and seeing that, you know, taking out the zone here, these lows would be the at least like the minimum for me to say that we've got a higher low. Okay, probably these ones just here. Yeah, these ones just here lines up with that bit of with that zone just there, you know, and that comes in at what. So taking out that 67 zone again, etc., 68, 69, 70, all that good stuff, then maybe we've got a local low on this time frame, right? But until then, anything that comes up to these zones and then goes away again is not, but, you know, going up the way, great. So do you have an edge on in here? Sure you do. Breaking down past it though, at this point, you know, it does signal to us that there's a good chance that we come in and fill in that gap being down there at 57. So, you know, this here is where we need to see the prices not going down below. I'm not. I mean, you can see now, perhaps when I'm looking at this chart, why I'm not particularly enthusiastic about what we're seeing here. I can start to find really positive things though for us for sure. The way that this looks is it looks. Thank you so much for that. I'll check that in a second. To watch the end of football. Oh right. Oh shit. Oh thanks. Thank you so much for that. Oh man. What's the score? 0-0. Is that real? 0-0 as well. Is the match still on? Thank you. Yeah, I got carried away. Really appreciate it. Yeah, in this little section here, you it would be easy to find positive stuff. I'm pretty damn sure if I drop down to the 15-minute time frame, the way that looks is it looks to me like there could be yeah, you could draw a wedge around that, a wedge, you know, but until such times as you're actually taking out any of the highs, then it's just kind of it's just hopeful, you know. But you can connect all those lows just there. You can connect all these highs just here, you know. And really, if we do see a resurgence up the way, then you would be looking for a move of sort of this sort of a height, which would take us back up there. And all we'd be looking for from this wedge would be to confirm a local low, so that we can actually start to be a bit more positive about any sort of positions that we'd be taking. Which means that if you wanted to buy into momentum, then you could do it that area. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is financial advice, but at the minute it looks like it's on its way down towards that 60 area. I mean, that's what it looks like until such times as we've got something which would at least look like it's not, you know. This wedge that we have on the go is very good. I mean, obviously I'm thinking that we'll go back up towards 67. I mean, we're so close to it already, but you're talking about fractions of fractions here. So we're going back up towards that, and then do we push down or do we go on up? And it's going to be in this zone that I'm really paying attention to things, you know. At the meantime, it's just that's what it is. That's just all it is, right? And somebody else said, I'm sorry that might not be Brian. I don't know if that I don't know if I justified the $50 you donated me for that, man. I really don't. And I feel I don't want to. I don't know. Okay, but I'll endeavor to always work there for that. Kachito asked about GME. Oh, wait, somebody said about GME things. We'll just take that a quick look at that for a second. Chris Sweeney, I heard a rumor that Rocky is the #1 Scottish plumber. Lol. Yeah, you heard right. I've just learned today that stocks aren't everything. So watch your football. Take a minute to enjoy something with your brother. My friend, you asked what's happening at the minute with your GMEs. We've come back down, we've filled in this gap, we've found a good deal of support so far. On the 1 hour time frame, we're at the 200 simple period moving average. There's a good deal of science for this to have a good move up the way. If we actually take out 222 again, and you know, that's very good, but we're going to be tentative around that area. There is the potential for us to have got, you know, some sort of bottoming information in here, but that would ignore the truth of the fact that we're in a consolidation period, you know, having dropped down for our ways up above. You know, there's still on for the 177 entry if you wanted to get that. You know, it could happen, but we would obviously need to be pushing down hard past 200 and 210, especially, you know, like obviously, you know, or whatever. But at the minute, we're definitely very good. There's a lot of positivity there. We're very much within touching distance of being able to move back towards the top side. You know, prudent people will obviously be kind of cautious in around about 240, because you could see subsequent pullbacks even from that area on the way. After we get past 250, 260, then it's very good, and the next targets start coming back in. Of course, at this 300 area again, you're looking at 10%, etc. on the way up. In the meantime, we're doing all right. Thanks so much to everybody for tuning in. Okay, I'm going to tune out now, and I really appreciate you all, and that means a lot to me. Your support today means an awful lot to me. I really appreciate it, but I wouldn't go away without saying the reverse roll call stuff, so let's just do that. And so I can say thanks to everybody for support, because it means a lot. Thank you so much, Matt Screenwell, for tuning in. Thank you so much, Burning Ken. Dead Money All Stars, you really appreciate it. Apple Blossom, it was lovely to see you today, as it is every day. Trade Spot, and thanks so much for moderating and for reminding me about the football. Chris Sweeney, it's been fantastic to see you this evening. Thanks so much. Oh, look who we have, Subsonian. Thanks very much. I don't read your name very often. It's good to have you here. If you're new to the channel, thanks for joining me. Kachito Valador, it's nice to see you. I really appreciate support as ever. Purple Haze, thanks for tuning in as well. Jeff Casey, you're a good guy, and as well, Troublemaker. Brian, I really appreciate it. The Dead Money All Stars. stars, fapping it. Epiphany Jones, that's Christy, I like her. Queen Bee as well, they're good. I really like you, Queen Bee. You know what, Queen Bee, I really do wish you the very, very best. I hope that that you have a great a real positive upturn in your fortunes over the weekend, and that you get a good rest. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Thanks so much as well for Frostcrest. You supported the channel. Thanks so much. Charles SEO or Charles CEO, I don't know. Good to see you there. David P, thanks for tuning in. Warlock for Hire, I really wonder, was it you that came up with Wen Ambo, or was it that jiu-jitsu guy, or was it a combination of both? Thank you so much, Vic Vince, for the sexy sec. I really appreciate that as well. Duro, you're really appreciated here as well. Mike White, David P, Lee Willis, Mike, Arthur Zawada, Captain Chaos FPV, Robert Mad, Andy A, Jeff Casey, that jiu-jitsu guy, everybody in there, massively appreciated. And I want to give an extra shout out to the likes of CC, Apple Blossom. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate Apple Blossom. You're really super lovely. And then to everybody else as well: D Harker, Space Captain, Emmy Campisi, Mike Air, Frostcrest, Kelvin M, Apple Blossom, CC, Brian, Horizons, Epiphany Jones, Duro, Cachito Valador, who all donated to the channel. You really do make me feel appreciated, and I thank you so much, and I love you all. Okay, great, fantastic, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you again later on as we get smashed. I'm going to get drunk. See ya.